Alright, here's that quick tutorial on how I shoot the moon. Everybody's got their little differences. Using a D5600, but it'll have the same menu system as your D3500. So, first thing we'll do is turn it on, and we're going to put it on M for manual mode. So the screen will pop up in the back. I'm going to go hit the I button. You can shoot in JPEG, RAW, whatever you want to, doesn't matter. For me, I always set this to vivid anytime I'm not shooting people. Does the best for what I like. For autofocus, for shooting the moon, if I'm shooting off a tripod, I will shoot AFS, so it'll lock the focus in. If I'm shooting handheld, I'll shoot it in continuous. Then I'm going to go over here to autofocus area, and I want to go from the whole screen up to single point autofocus. Then for metering, I'm going to go to single point metering, or spot metering as they label it. Okay, WB, this is your white balance. Set this to direct sunlight because the sun is what lights up the moon. And then for ISO, I pretty much always start at the very bottom, which on this camera is 100. Boy, I've had way too much coffee. Look at that shake. So that's going to be my basic settings. Then I'm going to zoom in as far as I can. I threw on a kit lens because I figure that's definitely something you probably have. If you have something with a longer focal length, go ahead and use it. You cannot turn off the VR on this lens. If you have one that you can, if you're using a tripod, turn it off. If you're using a handheld, go ahead, keep it on there. So we're going to go all the way up there. Then you see right there, that's your shutter speed, 55. I'm just going to rotate that dial down to about 50 because that's where I can handhold it. Let's make it 60. Then for the aperture setting, if you hold down this little button, see how you can adjust that. Now I'm going to run it all the way open, unless that's where your lens isn't very clear, in which case come up to where it's clear. Anybody that tells you you have to be at f7 to f11 or f22 or any of that in order to get everything in focus, at 1.8, the depth of field is something like 240,000 miles in front of whatever you're focusing on, which is like 11 times bigger than the moon. So you're fine. You can run it all the way open on whatever lens you have. I usually shoot mine on a 200 to 500 Nikon lens at 5.6. It works great. I've also shot it on my 70 to 200 at 2.8. Works great. Crystal clear images every time. But the further that's open, the better chance you're going to be able to keep your ISO that low. Now at this point, I can't show you because it's daytime, but what I would do is I would point my camera up at the moon. Point my camera up at the moon, and then I'm looking right here at this light meter. And there's one inside the viewfinder too. But as you can see, it is severely underexposed. Over 3, well, depending on where I point the camera at my wall. But so in this particular case, you have two options. If you're on a tripod, the first thing I would do is drop the shutter speed down. Boom. Okay. Get that nice and clear. It's not going to jump around like this. It's seeing a white picture frame is why it's doing that in the house. Or if you're going handheld and you don't think you can hold it steady, that's when you would go back into the menu. Go over here to the ISO. And we were 3 stops under, so from 100 to 200, so doubling the ISO. There's 1 stop, 200 to 400. That's 2 stops, 400 up to 800. There's 3 stops of light. Go, and then tap the shutter button to get out of there. Point that at the wall, boom. See? Now, when I shoot the moon, I like to go about 2/3 of a stop underexposed, especially if it's full. I just think the colors and the shadows and everything come in better, but that's up to you to decide. But if you start there and kind of play with it, you should be able to get some great shots of the moon, especially if you're off a tripod and you can drop the shutter way down. If you're going under a half second, I would recommend putting a delay on the shutter. If you don't know how to do that, message me and I'll walk you through that as well. But I hope that helps. I'm sure everybody will chime in with some opinions on different things they do that work better for them. Try those out too, and best of luck.